What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Major Keyz podcast, talking to keyboard players about music and life and everything in between. Today, as always, we have a special guest, Brandon McCrae.
Yo, what's good, fam?
Let me go back. Dr. Brandon McCrae.
What's good, fam?
Dr. Brandon McCrae. Second doctor we've had. Do you know Greg Satterthwaite? He's kind of new on the jazz scene in Atlanta.
I don't know.
He moved here a couple of years ago. But he's a doctor too.
Oh, that's what's
up.
up.
So you're the second doctor we've had on here. Once Tyrone gets his doctorate, But he wasn't a doctor when he came.
What he did, but he was always a doctor. He just wasn't finished.
Yeah.
The dissertation is a thing, man.
For sure.
It's a thing.
Yeah. But man, what you up to, bro? What's going? I actually haven't seen you in a minute. So what's been going on,
bro? So I'm in the middle of this. Thing. This God-given thing, and I've named it. We've called it band pit to pulpit, and I'm walking through my personal journey of transition from band pit to pulpit. Now, just to be quite honest and frank, I'm never going to leave the band pit officially or completely. Let me say, but there has to be, for me, a separation from the way I've always been known into where God wants me to now be known, right? Everybody knows me kind of as a musician that preaches, and the shift is I'm a preacher that
it's a musician
that plays instruments. You know what I mean? So there has to be, for me, it's been like tectonic plates, man. For me, it's been like a hard cut. Where I was the worship pastor for my church. I'm no longer there. I was the organist for a second service. I'm no longer there. I was the bass player for a third service, all on Sunday. I'm no longer there.
Seeing your. I'm positive. I be seeing your stories on Instagram. I'm like, dog. I'm like, and then you'll mess around and preach one of the 4 services that you do. I'm like, and then sometimes like you'll play keys. I'm like, all right, well, I gotta go to the back. I gotta go preach.
Yeah, what is he doing? Like, what's happening?
Bro. I'm like, you be making me because I'm. After my one service, because I sometimes more than likely I'll play somewhere the Saturday before.
Absolutely. So, and Friday.
So yeah. But if anything, Saturday. So like that Sunday, I do my one service and it's nap time.
Bro,
I do my one service. I nap. I try not to do stuff on Sundays. I'm like, Zach, I be waking up from my nap. It's like, all right, service number 4. Let's get. I'm like, dog.
Zach, I'm gonna tell you something funny, bro. I'm gonna tell you something. You're gonna really get a kick out of this, and I think that the audience will too, bro. There have been so many times. This is a true story, where I will play Friday night. Well, I will have then played Friday night. Played Saturday night, and God knows where. Corporate band, you know how it is.
Yeah.
God knows where. My wife will meet me on Sunday morning at my first service with my clothes for the day. I'll wash my face and brush my teeth. Having just got off of the van or the bus, put my clothes on in the bathroom and play 3 services in 3 different cities around Atlanta after having just left Washington, D.C., Durham, North Carolina, Dallas, Texas. You know what I'm saying?
Ridiculous.
Sarasota, Florida. You know what I mean?
Ridiculous.
And so I understand how it is. But the separation is, God was like, okay, I need the shift of perception of who you are. I'll always be a musician, but I need people to see you as a preacher, pastor primarily that has that other side. So I've been walking that shift, and it's been difficult because I'm a musician for real. You understand what I'm saying? You know how it is.
For sure.
You got people that do it for play, or people that work at it, or they play at it.
Yeah.
No, this is what we do.
Yeah.
I'm looking at your degree. Like, this is
what
we do.
Yeah.
For real. So it's been a difficult shift in that for me here, because I want to play. But it's a necessary shift for me here. Here.
I dig it, man.
That's what I've been doing. Band pit to pulpit. That's where I've been.
Some slight. Man, let's start from the beginning, man. Because this is the Major Keyz podcast. It's about keyboard players.
Absolutely.
But I know you play multiple instruments, and so get me started on like how you got into keys, and we'll go from there.
Interestingly enough, I'm a drummer. When I explain this to people, I've got camps of people that know me for camps of things, right? So I've got some people that only know me as an organist, some people that only know me as a jazz drummer, some people that only know me as a R&B bass player, some people that only know me as a R&B corporate band guitarist. So it's an interesting camps of places. But I started my journey as a drummer. I've been playing drum set since age 3. So drums was a thing, did it in church, loved it, XYZ, this, that, and the third. I always, sidebar, believe that when God gives one the gift, he didn't give me the gift of playing the drums. God gave me the gift of music. And it was up to me to cultivate that gift, right? And cultivating that gift for me shifted me from drums to this, to that, all in the music sphere. But he gave me music, and it would have been left untapped if I had not explored all that he gave me. You said so. Drummer, I learned my first song on keyboard as a joke. The minister of music at my church, they thought that I couldn't do it. So he set me down on a Korg Trinity, 61 key, Night Times EP. I remember the sound like it was yesterday. It was in the key of E, and the song was, key of B. The song was Gotham City by R. Kelly. Gotham City, city of love, city of peace for every one of us. That was the whole song. So E major 7, F sharp major, A flat minor 9. That was the going back thinking of now.
So
But
it was 4, 5, 6.
4, 5, 6.
Okay, cool.
But it was literally the movement was just same chord.
Yeah.
It was interesting. So they taught me that. It was like, oh, you're not gonna be able to learn it, and I learned it.
And you're like, was it out of spite? Was it out of spite that you learned it? You're like,
It was
or was it just like, oh, that's a challenge?
It was a challenge, but it was a little something behind the challenge. You know what I mean? And I was 12, 12, 13, and I learned it. I mean, I learned it.
Yeah.
And that was all I could play in those.
And that
keys.
was your first time playing keys.
First time playing keys. And they showed me where to put my fingers. And 12, 13. So from that,
You learned it by ear?
yeah, by ear. But God gave me to get the music.
You
see
come
what I'm
on
saying?
now. Yeah,
so
yeah.
it was by ear for onlooking, but it was within the wheelhouse of what I already was gifted to do.
Come on now.
I just didn't know it yet. You know what I mean? That's why I caught on so fast. You know,
We're there.
like any typical keyboard player, if you sit them on the organ, they may not be an organist, but they'll figure out, oh, well, this is how we do that. Any typical bass player, you sit them on the drum set, they'll be like, well, I don't do this, but
Yeah.
because you have that innate thing. So that's what happened. After that, I really, really, really wanted to play the organ. I've always wanted to play the organ. Organ in church it's the sound. So no lie, my mom and I got a prophetic word. My mom is she operates, for those that may not know it, in one of the spheres of the gifts of the Holy Spirit is prophecy. Prophecy is foretelling, forthtelling, word of knowledge, word of wisdom, kind of speaking those things that you don't know, that you don't see, and God saying, hey, this is what the future is. So my mom said, hey, God says you're going to play the organ, but you're not going to play the organ, you're going to play the organ. So a year to the day that my mom gave me that prophetic word, no lie, bro, a year to the day almost, give or take a day or two.
All right.
I was playing the organ, Zach, with no lessons, with no, hey, let me show you this. God gifted me to be able to play the organ. It was a gift from God. So for me, keyboard was a third instrument. Yeah. Organ was my second.
Okay, got you.
So I kind of transitioned from organ later years into keyboard because it was a natural outgrowth, learn how to use the sustain pedal and kind of thing. And I really, after that year and that word, I really put time in. So 14, 15, 16, 17, I spent cultivating that ability, all the while being in marching band and percussion, learning how to read. Shout out to Chris Crenshaw, Stantuan Kendrick, who pulled me in the practice room as college students, and I was a high school student. They taught me how to read chord changes. So that accelerated my keyboard language,
right?
Which improved my organ voicings,
right?
So that's the journey for me in keyboard. That's the journey for me in keys. It came out of that song, Learning It by Spite, and then the prophecy of me on organ, and it all pushed into my keyboard playing, which jazz was a heavy influence. Interestingly enough, jazz has been a heavy influence from the beginning, which is another conversation.
Did you receive the prophecy, or were you just like, or did you kind of deny it for a second?
Bro, when my mama said it, it was fact to me, and because I've always believed the word of the Lord. When she said it, I didn't have questions. I said, okay, Lord, I don't know how it's gonna happen, but I know you're gonna do it.
Yeah.
And bro, before I played keyboard in my local church, I had played at 2 national conventions with my with my uncle's denomination. I had been in Ohio and played. I had been in Florida and played before. So the first time I played at my local church, people were like, "Oh my God, he can play the keyboard too." Organ, I had been playing outside of my space, which is another encouragement for those individuals that may not be encouraged in the spaces that they're in. God can do it elsewhere. And when you come back, they're going to be like, "Oh, well, we didn't know." And that's what happened for me. I came back in my local church. They were like, "Wait, where did this happen?"
Wow.
Yeah, bro.
That's crazy. So, get that word a year later. Boom, Oregon. So, in our terms, right? Were you killing, or were you like, "Oh, I can play"? You were like, "Oh,
no, I was solid.
Okay, you're in the middle. You're in the middle.
I was in the lower middle.
Okay.
I could. Always been my superpower. I can learn records. On every instrument that I play, my superpower has always been that I can learn records. So if you put it in front of me in my ears, if you give it to me, I will learn it verbatim, word for word. So I was listening to, at this time in my keyboard journey, bro, I'm listening to all John P. Key stuff. But I mean Strength, Show Up, all of that. So all of those major arrangements, bro, because I learned them on drums, that gift.
Yeah.
I learned them on drums. I did not realize that I also knew them on bass and I knew the progressions on keyboard, even though I didn't know that I knew it. So when I say bass was probably the easiest thing that I learned to play. When I picked up the bass, I was playing the bass because I was a drummer and I had known all of these bass lines. I knew it the whole time, but didn't know it. That I knew it. I just needed to know fingering.
You knew it internally.
I knew it internally. Because I could tell the bass player, no, that's not what he did. Or I could tell the keyboard player, no, that wasn't quite, he did this and I sing it. But that's been my translated superpower on the keyboard and all the other instruments. I could learn records. So I'm listening to Michi Walker. You know what I mean? I'm listening to Ivan Powell. I'm listening to, at the time, Kevin Bond, Jason White. I'm listening to all of these people.
Jason White. Yeah, I just watched this interview with him on Jam Card.
Bro, listen.
Oof.
Kill. For no reason, kill.
Man.
You know what I mean? So I'm coming up listening to these guys, and learning what I'm transcribing.
Yeah. Okay.
I learned this later, but I'm transcribing records for years and years and years. You know what I mean? Learning this, bro, like no lie. One of the first records that I transcribed all the way was Manifest by, at the time, Jason Nelson wrote the song, but Bishop T.D. Jakes recorded it with the Potter's House.
Okay.
So that version of Manifest, Kevin Bond's on keys, and he is eating Manifest up in F sharp minor, A major. I learned everything that he played on that record. When I tell you note for note, I had an XP60. I sat down and I went to work, learned everything, all of those the chromatic movements, secondary dominant, all the stuff. Like I didn't know. I just was learning what I heard him play, and it took me a week. Yeah, but I learned it, man, and that was my superpower. So I was solid. Yeah, you asked me to improvise, maybe a little different, but I can play records. Fair.
That's interesting because a lot of people, like everybody's story is different. Some parallels, like drums first, cool. Kenny just said that, but it's like But that's super interesting that you really just like, dog. All right, I'm in, and we're going. So when you're on this journey, like in high school, when it really starts to like cultivate, because you're doing the marching band, and you're still learning organ and keys. Was this like, I know that I want to do this full time? Man. Like, did you have aspirations past what you were doing at the time?
So in high school, I wanted to be, leading up to high school, adolescence, young, I always wanted to be, this is going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. I'm sorry. But I wanted to be a funeral home director. I wanted to be a mortician. It was in high school. It's going to sound crazy. I love the dead. I love restorative arts, embalming. It's something about being able to take a canvas. It's the creative in me. Being able to take a canvas and make it. This is gonna sound real bad. You've been to funerals and your auntie says, "Oh my God, they look just like themselves." Man, they're asleep. That was a thing because I seen people botched. So it was something that I always wanted to do. I worked in the funeral home, bro, from 7 to like 14. I ended Bomber Room, the whole 9. So that was what I wanted to do.
You've been 60 and 40 your whole life.
My whole life.
I'm like that.
My God,
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
That's crazy.
But that's what I wanted to do.
Interesting.
In high school, I was elected to the National Medical Forum, so I went to Emory for like a week. I was going to be a forensic pathologist. Michael Biden was my best friend on HBO. I watched all the forensic pathology things. I met Leon Anderson, and he single-handedly changed the course of that because I went from wanting to be a doctor to full ride scholarship at Florida State. Mm-hmm. It was at that point that music took complete control.
Mm-hmm. And the scholarship at Florida State was a music
jazz studies.
Okay, gotcha.
Jazz studies drum set.
Okay.
Jazz studies commercial music drum set. I had always had dreams. I had done a couple major things at that point. Like played on a couple major stages, opened up for major artists.
Like who?
Like John P. Keyz.
Because I don't know this stuff.
Well, I mean, at that time, our choir was
killing.
So we opened up a live recording for Melvin Dawson. We had opened up for John. We had opened up for, around the area.
Yeah.
We were one of the major people. And as a high schooler, I played for the Valdosta State University Gospel Choir.
Sheesh.
You're
from Valdosta?
Valdosta.
Okay, you're from Valdosta.
Born and raised.
Cool.
Well, I was born in Waycross, but I'm from Valdosta. All of my formative life, I've been in Valdosta.
All right, cool.
So I was a part of VSU Gospel Choir. So we got
in high school.
In high school, exactly. I was a drummer. It was a whole thing, bro. So those doors opened, and I was like, "Oh man, I could do this." I met Leon. Leon single-handedly changed my life. Single-handedly. Mm-hmm. At that point, I knew that I could do it. Mm-hmm. And that was when the aspiration really took over in my college years. Mm-hmm. That was when I said, okay, not only can I do this, but I'm going to do this. This is what I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm. Got you.
So that was when the shift was college.
Got you.
The big shift.
Let me go back real quick because like the high school you were playing drums in the college choir. Mm-hmm. Did you know that was not typical at the time? And then also, was there any sort of intimidation being in front of these big artists, or was it like, I've got this confidence, I know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, sort of deal?
Internally, I've always had confidence issues. I had a problem with my dark skin for years. I went to a predominantly white Christian school, and I came home crying every day, to the point where my mom and dad took me to therapy. About being black and being so dark at the time. Yeah. My granddaddy, who in his infinite wisdom died at 95, Arthur Isaac Williams, my middle name is his. He said in his country terminology, "Son, you do know that the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice." That changed how I looked at myself. That changed how I thought. So that shifted that whole issue that I had. So coming out of that, I had confidence. And for us, it wasn't. There was a friend of mine. It's still a friend of mine. His name is Kobe Strader. He's got to be the most talented person that I know in the world. Kobe and I are right around the same age. He was born in December. I was born in March. He was December 85. I was born March of 86. So our ages are really, really close. And Kobe and I played the gospel choir together. We played all around the city together. We sat grown men down quite often. But he helped build my confidence, and I helped build his. He helped build my personal skill, and I helped build his. And literally, as teenagers, we were running grown men in the city. I come from one of the most Valdosta is one of the most talented spaces in the world, and some of the most incredible creatives I've ever met in life come from Valdosta. So if you can make it in Valdosta, you can make it anywhere.
Right.
We were making it among our peers. So going off different places. I got my behind chopped up in Valdosta. So when I was able to overcome that in Valdosta, I can go anywhere and play because,
right.
It was abnormal when we got there. We knew people were like, oh, they're going to play. And then we got finished playing and they were like, oh my God, did you get to play?
Yeah.
So it was abnormal, but it was kind of normal because it was my normative experience. Kobe and I and others, John Wright and Spade. There are a slew of people in my hometown that were young, that came under us. Bob, that came with us. Jordan Love, John Lissamore, like all of these major figure people that I can mention now, all came from my hometown, and they were either growing up with us or right under us. That age group right under us. So it was commonplace to see a killing. Right now, the main keyboard player and MD at my daddy's church is my son's godbrother and my son's best friend. He is 14 years old.
Wow.
And he's been holding it down for 2-3 years.
This is in Valdosta?
In Valdosta.
That's crazy.
My dad has the church south of Macon. And I don't say that with any qualms, no ambiguity, no high-mindedness. I'm saying south of Macon, my dad has the church.
Gotcha.
And before Q is his name, we call him Q. His name is Ivory Lucas IV, but we call him Q. Before Q was John Lissamore. John Lissamore took the hand.
Just got hit. I've never met him, but like, cause I still follow the people from Fellowship and all that.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, sheesh. Yeah.
John is my literal god brother. My mom and dad are his godparents. John took the helm of my dad's church at 12.
Yeah.
13. And for 6 years, carried the church by himself. Q came in there, and after John left, which all the things John does, now Q is and when Q leaves, it's going to be another 12-year-old.
That makes so much sense now.
That's the culture.
Yeah.
Of the space. And the culture is to be that young, but to be on a high level. I have a 15-year-old. My 15-year-old.
Oh, no, he's up, dog. I've seen a couple of videos of it. I'm like, oh, no, he's going to be an issue.
But that's the culture.
Yeah.
If it's not in music, it's in sports. If it's not in sports, it's in academics.
Yeah.
We have a culture of, I can only speak for my dad, my church, my family in the city around us. We have a culture of advancing at young ages.
That's cool.
So it was not, long story, it was not commonplace outside of where I was, but it was normal and normative where I was. That answers the question.
Gotcha.
Long way around.
Hey, man. What is speaking on that, speak to the importance of giving back and giving the next person up, like, hey, I'm gonna give you what I know, because thankfully I've got four. I always say I have four teachers. My original teacher, Mark Mitchell, Stephen Thornton. I don't know if you know Stephen.
I know
Thornton.
the name.
Okay.
I know the name.
Do you know Gracefully Gia? Gia.
Yeah.
Nicole? That's her husband.
Oh,
so Stephen
okay.
Thornton. Yeah.
Okay,
so,
makes sense.
So, and that's Mark Mitchell's son-in-law. All that. So that's all in the family. Jay Adams. Of course, you know Jay Adams.
Oh man, yeah.
And then and then Tyrone Jackson.
Absolutely.
So, thankfully to those people, like like I was already taking classical piano lessons from Mr. Mitchell and then like Steven. And then my mom was like, "Hey, you can like on Youth Sunday." She's like, "You could probably play that, right?" And I was like, "Oh." So I went to Jay and I was like, "Hey man, can you?" And he did so much more than like, he didn't just teach me the songs. I was 10 when I first got to Jay. And so I took lessons from Jay for 2 years before he left.
Well,
and
he's
so
in Georgia now.
Yeah, he's back now.
Yeah.
He's back now. But like this is 2007, 2008.
He was
so he was at Fellowship still. So anyways, I went up to him. I was like, "Hey man, I want to play for the youth choir." And so every Monday at like 4:00. And so he wasn't just teaching me the songs. He was like, "Hey man, these are tritones. This is." So he gave me like the startup to like, "Hey, this is how these are like the common things that you're gonna see in
church.
in church." And then so like he was the person that I got like official lessons from. Like I call him my official teacher. Now when Duke came in, Duke like was teaching me, all right, now you learn this, now you know the songs. Now I got to teach you like how a service kind of flows, right?
Exactly.
I still give Duke credit for that, like because like when there was like the shift and like all the musicians and all that sort of stuff, I was there. I was still like the youth keyboard player.
Yeah.
But he like showed me. I was like, all right, so cool. This is how the service goes. This is kind of how you back up the feature. You kind of read the nuance.
Yeah.
The nuance. So give me the importance of just doing that, of giving that to the next person and not being like, man, you don't know that young, and like pushing drawbars in. Also shout out Kenny Pratt too. Kenny Pratt was always he was always
cold.
He was always
that dude
super he was always super encouraging to me. I never like learned one-on-one with him, but every time that I would see him, he would push me. So give me that, like just speak to the importance of that. Yeah.
So for us, as a preacher, pastor, as a instrumentalist, musician, as a academic, there's so much to say about the culture of the black church. we get our most formative training as black people from what happens in the black church. That's why it's important that we never let the black church die. Another story for another day. But all of the formal things that I learned in life, Zach, I learned in the black church. So, short answer, I could never not give back because I wouldn't be who I am today had it not been for the black church. Right, wrong, or indifferent, I learned and I became a better musician when I met Abel Cornelius Braswell. His name is AC. We call him AC, but his full name is Abel Cornelius. He came to our church at my young formative years, and he completely reshaped our worship ministry. AC was the first person that took me to concerts, to see live musicians. He was the one that taught me, this was back when it was a thing, when you buy the CD, you open up the case and you look at the credits and see who played on what. AC,
know those names.
Know those names.
Yeah.
All the names. Not only know what they played, but know what they played. So I got hip to music, musicians, instruments, arrangement, production from AC. Right, wrong, or indifferent. Everything I learned at that fundamental stage was because of AC. And because of that set me on a trajectory to continue that learning, but across genre lines, right? So giving back is invaluable. We will not have a next generation if we don't give back. And you have to give back because I want my children to give back too. So they actively see me literally and metaphorically give back. So I don't just give back in my time, but I've given instruments away. I've given sticks away, cymbals. I've given lessons as much as I can in a space. I'm not a teacher per se. But I can point you in the right direction. I'll sit down with somebody after a service and they're like, oh, how'd you do XYZ? Well, this is how you do it. Check this finger out. Go look up this person.
And they can dig into it deeper.
This is where I got this from.
Yeah.
This is the thought. Check out this on video or call this person. If you want to take lessons, call him. He'll put you in the right direction. I pride myself on being someone that can point you in the right direction because I think it's invaluable, not only to the next level of the church, but to the next level. You know, Jermaine Dupri said this, R&B sucks now because kids are out of church. And that church sound is what made that 90s and 2000s R&B sound. Right. 80s sound was because of the church kids. So if we drop that culture, we lose more than just the church culture, but we lose the culture that is influenced by the church culture, which is every other culture. Hip hop, R&B, country, techno, all of these, believe it or not, Americana, all of these blues, all of these things are influenced by that church culture. And for us, if we have a lack of church culture, then we'll have a lack and a deficit of the other cultures that spring from it. It's giving back is invaluable. You got to give back unless you want to see the culture die. And you don't. I don't. No, for sure. Got you, bro. So going back to college, you're doing music in college. Yes. Because I also want to talk about, you're the first pastor or preacher, Reverend, that I've had. Is Reverend accurate? You're the first pastor or preacher that I've had on here. Wow. Because so many of us have the story of like we learned how to play all that sort of stuff. But you're the first person that's been on both sides of it. So I do want to ask you, how did that come about, and how did that affect you musically, at least starting out, like how did it become to like, oh no, I'm actually gonna study pastoring, divinity, all that, and then like just tell me how it all came together. So for me, I've always been told, because when my mom met my dad, my mom was a preacher at 14. She preached her trial sermon, her initial sermon at 14. My dad, saved at 14, preached her initial sermon at 15. My dad has been a preacher since he was 17, 18. All I've known, my mom and dad are divorced now, and both of them are married to preachers. Still. My wife, her father, her stepdad is a preacher. He was the associate pastor of my dad's church. Uncles, I have uncles that are preachers. I have aunts that are preachers. All of my family
family.
So you always get that, oh, you're going to be a preacher just like your dad. And I was all, can I be transparent? Bishop Hodges, my spiritual father, says that confession is good for the soul, bad for the reputation. So completely honest with you, I was like, hell no, I'm not. Absolutely not.
Like, please.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
That's not my lot. So I was a musician and a full-fledged musician all the way until my actual call. So my first 2 degrees are in music. I have a bachelor's of arts in jazz studies and commercial music, and I have a master's of music in performance, classical percussion. So I'm a musician.
Yeah.
I went to seminary as a litmus test to say, well, God, if you're really calling me, then I'm going to go to seminary and you're going to call me, show me in seminary. I wasn't in my first class 3 weeks. And God was like, didn't I say? And I was like, fine.
And this was right after the 2 degrees? Was it like back to back to back?
Well, I was the first 2 degrees were back to back. I got married in 2013. And I got called to ministry in 2014 and preached my trial sermon. The first, I graduated in 2009 with my bachelor's. I graduated in 2011 with my master's.
Okay.
So it was a 2-year,
Okay, yeah.
2.5 year span before I moved into ministry. So I was full-fledged music. And that's kind of how the ministry thing came about, how it affected me. In college, we can go back and touch it, but man, like, bro, I'm on records, and I say that with no high-mindedness, but bro, I'm on records. Like when I was in college, I was my sophomore, junior, and senior year. My sophomore year and junior year, I went home any weekend because I was in Orlando with Drew and Maine of the runners, and I was making records every weekend from Thursday to Saturday. And I drive back and do whatever church I did on Sunday, go to school Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and be back out on Thursday. I mean, I've been in the VIP drinking Don Perignon with Fat Joe. You know what I mean? I've been on Miami Beach with, in Hit Factory with, I mean, bro, the list is.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't
Name drop a little bit. Name drop a little bit.
I mean, so I'm on R. Kelly's record. I'm on. I did. Lord Jesus. So working with Drew and Maine, I did a butt ton of work.
Yeah.
My friend Markeith Black, guitarist, introduced me to Drew and Maine. He was going down doing work, and he said, "Hey, I got a friend that plays keys and bass. And he could probably come in and help with some of the beat making stuff." So I met them, and it wasn't until later on that I found out we had a songwriter. Her name was Ambi. Ambi would come and do voiceovers, scratch tracks for everything. Ambi, her name is Amber, and she is what's Ambi's stage name? Oh God, I can't think of what Ambi's name is now. But she's Ambi is huge. Just gonna come to me before we finish, and you'll be able to flash it on the screen. But Ambi's major now. Seven Streeter. That's Ambi. I know her. I know her as Ambi.
That's crazy.
I know it's Amber.
That's crazy. Yeah.
R. Kelly.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned, Fat Joe, Port of Miami. I'm all over that record. All over Port of Miami.
They properly credit you?
No.
Because I'm like, if I go back, will I look? But like, they ain't.
There's things on that early runner stuff. You'll listen to it and hear me play now. You're like, oh, bro. The Champ is here. Swiss Beats did it's the intro to R. Kelly record. I couldn't play guitar. I didn't play guitar at the time.
Yeah.
I had a 6-string Yamaha TRB bass. I told him to put an overdrive on my channel.
Yeah.
And I played the melody for that song. And when you hear it, you would think it's a lead guitar, but that's me on a 6-string bass. I'm playing that. I orchestrated strings, and then they got the strings replayed on that. The Champ is here. That same R. Kelly track. The strings are arranged by me. We did it in Logic on something. I don't even remember what it was at the time. Or
wow.
It may have been Reason. It's crazy. So
all this while you're in school for divinity?
In school. No. All this while I'm undergrad at Florida State.
Yeah.
Driving from Tallahassee to Orlando.
Crazy.
So Ambi, R. Kelly, Fat Joe, Rick Ross, Oh man, what's my man's name? It's so many people. It's so many people. But suffice it all to say,
Yeah.
You can go to my website. Here's a plug. Go to my website, BrandonMcCrae.com. You'll be able to look at that list of people that I've done things with. But I was doing all that in college. I traveled. My first major tour was after my master's program. I was on the road with Music Soul Child. I did the Music and the Magic tour. 2011.
Which instrument?
I played drums.
Okay, yeah.
I did the Music and the Magic tour. I've played for a butt ton of people. Most recently, here's back to the question. I'm getting my way back. Preachers take the long way. I'm sorry. I'm full-time ministry, full-time music, and I'm traveling with Peebo Bryson. I got hired on the gig as a guitarist and background vocalist. I played 3 gigs. They moved me to drums. I played a year and a half. Then they moved me back to guitar. And I retired from that gig when God called me off of the road. But for years, there was no conflict.
Right.
Because there was no conflict in my life on the road. Because there was no conflict in my life off the road. Everybody on the road knew who I was. And everybody, when I got home, knew what I did. So there was no conflict.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
Like, it wasn't like you were hiding.
Oh, no.
You weren't like on the road, you weren't hiding the fact that you're a preacher, you got this church life, all that. And then in church, you're not hiding that, hey, I'm with Rick Ross and them.
Yeah, it was what it was. Because I didn't have a dual personality. I was Brandon everywhere that I was, right? Now, I'm not going to say in my younger years that I didn't, I wasn't cutting the monkey and,
Yeah.
I was in the VIP with Fat Joe drinking time period. Like, that happened. That happened. I have a very interesting story. I don't know if I can tell it online.
Hey man, if you want to,
is good for the soul.
If you want to,
So confession is good for the soul, bad for the reputation. I'm there at Hit Factory recording with the runners and a couple other people, and some of the people that I'm with, they have a whole thing with a porn star, literally on South Beach. I was there. I was there for that.
It's not a direction I thought you were gonna go in.
Yeah, that's really left, right?
Hard left.
Literally,
left.
I'm telling you my life. I was there. I didn't engage with them. I didn't personally engage with the porn star, but
you were there.
I'm here.
Your eyes work.
I'm here.
Your eyes work.
I'm here. They're there.
Yeah.
I'm here, Zach. They're there.
You're there.
It's like, oh, this is happening. This is really happening.
Hey, hello.
This is happening.
Yeah.
I can't name it. It was very notable points. That's
the clip that's going on.
It's wild, bro.
Yeah.
Preachers and porn stars. But that happened. That was a part of my journey. That was part of my story. I saw it.
Yeah.
I was introduced to some interesting things. Saw some interesting things. But as I grew, and I came out of undergrad, moved into grad, got called into ministry.
Yeah.
When I got called into ministry, and I was still traveling on the road doing different things, there was no interruption between who I was off the road and who I was on the road. I was often the one asked, hey man, you want to pray for us before we go? Hey, this is going to get text messages. This is going on, man. Can you pray for me? So it was clear. There were many nights, confession is good for the soul, bad for the reputation. I play wherever on Saturday night and have to preach on Sunday. I'm studying on the way.
Yeah. I
wrote my dissertation on the back of vans and buses playing corporate gigs.
Did you know that this isn't normal? I know that this is your life, but in the grand, I know now, but while it's happening, do you know that this isn't regular,
bro? All I knew is I had to make money. I got 3 kids, or at the time 2.
Yeah,
I've got a wife, a house. My wife worked corporate at the time. She worked AT&T corporate, 6-figure income. She was doing her thing, but the kind of man that I was raised to be, I wasn't gonna come slacking on mine. So for many years at the time, while I wasn't making 6 figures, I was making dang close. But I'd be gone Thursday, Friday, Saturday, all day Sunday. You know what I mean? Grinding. And I was in school. So I wasn't going to let my schoolwork suffer because I needed to work. So for me, it was just an outgrowth of who I was raised to be. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it 100%. So I played gigs. I mean, literally, bro, I'm sitting down trying to get this last 3 paragraphs out before we got to hit the stage. And it, like, the people I was in the corporate band with, they'll tell you, I have my computer and I'd be sitting there while we eating, getting ready to go. Everybody's eating. I'm stuffing it down so I can get 20 minutes of good reading in, so I can synthesize or summarize my argument. Or I'm on the back with a flashlight looking over my sermon, you know, because I'm preaching Sunday.
It's crazy.
You know what I mean? So there was no conflict for me. And I still think that there wouldn't be a conflict, but God pulled me away from all the things I was doing, not for me, because there was no conflict in me.
Yeah.
But for those that would see and maybe they would have conflict.
Right.
Because some people couldn't.
Because on the surface, that's kind of like,
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll keep it at that. Depending on who you are, it's just kind of like, all right.
He was doing what last night?
And now he's,
Barefoot.
yeah.
And I was just as anointed the night before as I was the Sunday morning proclaiming the word. You'd be surprised. I've done more ministry in clubs and in gigs and man, you just something different about your playing. Like you play and it's just something different. Well, come over here. Let me tell you about Jesus.
And that's how. Be like that.
It'd be like that.
Be like that.
It'd be like that.
Yeah, man. Dog, it's
crazy. I know.
That was a wild ride.
Bro, I can't believe. I look back sometimes and I lived it, and I can't believe. I really can't believe.
Yeah.
Some of the doors, everything I've prayed for, most of the things I've prayed for, God allowed me to do just to show me that maybe I didn't want it the way I said I wanted it.
Like, yeah, all right, I'll let you do it, but it ain't for you for real. But yeah.
So Mr. Peebo was my last rodeo.
Yeah.
And I really.
So you're done with people pricing?
Yeah.
That gig. Yeah.
We were in Seattle, Washington at Jazz Alley on the last day.
And this has to be super recent, right?
Yeah, it was May of this past year.
Of last year, yeah.
Last year. I was like, I'm Mr. Dwight, who's the musical director, a wonderful, phenomenal bass player, an incredible guy. I said, Mr. Dwight, God is pulling me off, you know, off of the road. And he was like, you listen to God, you won't go wrong. He's like, you got it. We're going to miss you. He said, he did ask me, are you sure? I was like,
of course. Yeah, you get like one, are you sure?
Are you sure?
Like, yeah.
I was like, yes, sir. I had a series of conversations from May to July, August with people that I played with, traveled with nationally, played with locally, regionally. And I was like, hey, y'all, God is calling me to do this. And the conversation, the majority of those conversations, the overwhelming majority of those conversations were, we knew, we were just waiting to see when. And some was, hey, you been my pastor. It's funny. I got this 4 or 5. You been my pastor. You just tell me when you opening your church. And now God hadn't called me to open the church. I don't. I do feel like there will be a church that will eventually call me to pastor. But you know, I've been pastoring people for years now. At this point,
for sure,
just randomly, you know. What you need, I'll come walk with you through this, or call me and, well, what about this scripture? Or you know, hey, pray for me. I've been doing that for as long as before I was preaching. I've been doing that, so I'm just walking now into the fruition of what I've always been.
Gotcha, man. I dig it. Well, I'm glad I got to gig with you a few times before you.
Absolutely,
yeah.
If I hung up the hat,
yeah.
Listen, we had some good ones too, bro.
We have some. Yeah, the one with Gavin. That was fun.
That jive was crazy.
That was fun. That was crazy. That put me to work learning that.
Bro, listen, it put us out in the stress off.
Yeah.
Because it was good music.
But like, you know, we played a couple of times with Zena. That's when I met you. That's when I met you.
Yep.
Because like I was like, I met you and I was like, I've heard your name before. And I think it was like with Duke or something like that. Probably like because But anyway,
was I playing bass with?
You're on bass.
Yep,
you're on bass.
We had good times. It was Vernon on drums. It was me and Vernon. Yep. Yeah, that was.
You know, I actually just played with her this weekend for the first time in like a couple of years.
How she doing? I ain't talked to her in a minute.
She's good.
I texted her. We talked. It's just been a couple weeks since I texted her.
She's good. Yeah,
she's
but
still
we
killing.
did whiskey.
Oh heck yeah,
or whatever.
Listen, whiskey Mistress is still a good gig. All of them are good gigs, and sometimes I'm like, Lord, are you sure? And then and he's like, yeah, what did I say? And I'm like, okay, yes sir.
But man, I dig it. But no, that's super dope. Like that whole journey. But man, I wanna I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I wanna like. Cause we went like so many different directions. So,
anything about keyboard?
I was like it. I mean, like it's the Major Keyz podcast, but we ain't talking about keyboard specific stuff until like we get to a couple of segments. But I do want to know the love for. Well, no. I'm not gonna say that. the multifacetedness, right? It has any of that ever like conflicted? Because like you said, like you're, super, like you say you're a scholar, right? Like you're a super, like just into that sort of stuff. Music. I think you do sports too. Has it ever conflicted, or have you ever felt like one thing is more important than, this is before this journey that you're on now, like one thing is more important than the other, or is it always like, hey, music is first and then everything else is on the side? Because I know, like, as a musician, even now, like I'm getting more interest in things, but I'm still a keyboard player first. Yeah. Like no matter what I do, like I'm starting to DJ now.
Yeah,
but I'm still a keyboard player.
Absolutely.
Like Keyz is never leaving.
Absolutely.
But like anyways, like have you ever felt guilt that like something that you're really good at is like, dang, like I feel like that I'm leaving this to the side?
Well, the biggest guilt that I felt in those situations has been from instrument to instrument.
Yeah, because for context, Brandon can kill on guitar, bass, drums, or keys. Whatever rhythm section, instrument, like hey, get up. I got it. Man, I got it.
Well, so I feel guilt depending on, like, I name my guitars, and like if I go upstairs to play one, I'll end up picking all of them up just because I feel like all of them should have equal time. Because like a man with his wife, or with these are my wives, my ladies.
Yeah.
So sometimes I feel guilt in terms of that. Like if I've been playing, say for instance here specifically, I've been playing a lot of bass, and bass has kind of been the overwhelming thing that I've been doing. I've had the pleasure and privilege of playing a butt ton of bass with the Beulah Church in Macon. So I've been playing a butt ton of bass there. And just here recently, John asked me to play guitar. And I was like, oh man, my guitar chops are really low because I hadn't picked up the guitar in a while. So I picked up the guitar, and then just as sure, I got called to do one or two other things recording wise with a few other people on guitar. So I was like, oh, I'm glad I picked up the guitar. But I kind of felt like I had been leaving the guitar neglected because I've been playing so much bass.
Yeah.
So that kind of sort of thing. But
or like when you be on bass, it's like, damn, I wish I could play organ.
Yeah, sometimes I look over there like, man, want to switch?
Yeah.
Because I don't know, it's just one of those things. So that's the biggest level of guilt that I felt. But outside of that, it seems to have been, or it has been my journey and my experience that everything has informed the next thing for me. So if God has me on this, I'm looking at XYZ this time, and I'm kind of studying over this, it leads to me running into a situation where I need the information that I just read or just looked over. Or someone will randomly ask me, oh man, well, I was reading Isaiah and this, that, and the third. And I was like, oh man, I was literally just reading up on it, and I have the information for when it's needed. Or I literally have just been shedding over this particular artist, and somebody will call and they'll say, hey man, I want to do a record, and I kind of wanted to be in this vein, and it would be this, and I'm like, oh man. So it's been for me, my experience and my testimony that all of the parts and parcels of my life have fed into the next parts and parcels of my life.
Right.
And it's been a continual trajectory toward the next thing.
Yeah.
Whereas this informed that, which informed that, which informed that, which informed that. And even the most random and ambiguous things that I've looked over and read and happened to fall into study about, that's my OCD, I guess. I will have a need for it when I least expected it.
Yeah.
So I think that's the story of most people's lives when they look back at it. Because that's how God orchestrates and arranges what he does, right?
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for it. I'm thankful for it. Even the things that I've gone through that seem to have no rhyme and reason. This is in my grandmother's infinite wisdom. This is what she would say. We'll understand it better by and by. And it's all come into understanding as I've lived.
Yeah.
Oh, well, this is why this happened at 7 and 8. Oh, well, I didn't understand why I had a pull towards this person at this time. But 20 years later, oh, they were going to be instrumental and influential in this segment of my life. Or, even my love for mortuary science. Like, I never would have known that one of the major things I do now as a musician is play for funerals. and I have an understanding of the funeral of the funeral ministry, yes, but of the funeral industry. My father owned a funeral home for quite a bit.
Yeah.
I work a lot with funeral homes and funeral directors. On the other end of what I do in terms of adjutancy and protocol and those things in terms of church hierarchy, I have to work often with funeral directors on how bishops are buried, how to dress them. I've dressed several bishops, but I have an understanding of restorative and creative arts. So I know
now you've got both sides of it.
But I never would have known that.
Like at 7 or 8 when you had that.
So it's like, this is what, I'm a preacher, so I just have to do it. This is what Paul tells the church at Rome, in Romans chapter 8:28. He says, all things work together for the good of them that love the Lord and those that are the called according to his purpose. So everything that's happened in my life has been a coming together of what I wanted and what God wants to make Brandon.
Yeah.
So all of it's working together. Even when I don't see it, especially when I don't feel it, I have to remind myself because I don't feel it a lot. But faith is that beyond my feeling. I know it's working, so I'm just gonna walk it out. I'm walking out because I know it's getting done.
Walk it. Actually, my pastor, that was the name of his sermon. This last Sunday. This last Sunday. That was the name of his. It was like walk it out. That was the name of his sermon.
Well, I'm just saying.
But yeah. I do want to ask you though, is it a desire in your mind or a prayer or anything that a Brandon McCrae project be out, like that, because I feel like, especially with everything, like from the quote unquote pastoral side, from all the instruments that you play, I feel like it would just be, and like just like your creative mind, I feel like it would just be. So is that a desire to do?
Absolutely.
Ever, you know?
So it's such a desire, bro. I've got stuff that I've already worked on and I've already done demo ideas and thoughts that I'm going to produce a record, and it's going to feature, I talked through this with my son, it's going to feature some of my friends and some people that I've looked up to, and it's going to be I'm going to play every instrument that I play, but I'm going to have a corresponding person. So here's how my mind works.
All right, here we go.
In my record. So I want to do a song on my record with me, Jameson Ross, and Larry Wilson. And I want all us to play drums, and I want all of us to sing.
Ooh, yeah.
But those are my friends.
Yeah.
And that's what we do. And here's what's funny. We've been doing it for years.
For sure.
In that Florida State practice room, we got so many, just set up drums and just go for blood. But I want to do a record
like that.
That's one song. Another song, I want to do like a guitar feature, like something with Rick Watford, and something with like Jordan Love. I want to do something with Julian Roberts, and I want to do something with Ju Boo. You know what I mean? Like a guitar, like two guitar focused songs.
I see what you're getting at.
And just bring in the people that I've looked up to and my friends.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And just.
So who's on the Keyz record then?
So let's go here on the organ record.
Yeah, on
the organ joint, it's going to be for sure Larry's going to be on that.
Yeah.
And I want Eric Miller. I would call Jaden. I think Jaden would do it, but I just got to figure out the record for Jaden, because when I do it, I want Jaden to just cut loose.
You sound like me. I'm
Jaden
like
Arnold, you know,
because Jamar is my drummer, right? Jamar Smith is my drummer. I know so many, and like not just drummers, other instrumentalists too. And I know so many other people. It's like, man, I want to play with you, bro. And I'm like, Jamar's my first call. Yeah. But I've got ideas for how I can use you when it's not like a quote unquote regular record. Yeah. So like you sound like me. I'm just like, I want to use it, but I want to make sure that you're doing you
exactly
on your thing.
On the thing, because I want it to be your voice. I want it to be authentic, and it's going to be like second nature. So I mean, so on the Keyz tip, like Kenny Banks is like, I really want Kenny to do something, but I would probably do, because the record is going to be it's going to be an eclectic experience of all the things that I am. So it's going to be some gospel. It's going to be some church, which is different than gospel. Church is an experience. Gospel is it's going to be some church.
All right.
It's going to be some jazz straight ahead. It's going to be some jazz fusion. It's going to be some probably country. Because I was in a country band for years. Man,
Scott Baston is a good friend of mine.
That's
Scott Baston is a good friend of mine.
That's my.
Yeah,
I was in
yeah,
St.
yeah.
Francis.
Yeah.
I played Keyz. I played everything in St. Francis.
Yeah.
But we did a whole record called Cassidy's Sky.
Yeah, he talks about you.
Zach, listen to me.
Yeah.
Cassidy's Sky is one of the best records that I have ever played on, period.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, period. And I've worked on
You've worked on some stuff.
Some of the things I've named.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've worked on records. Like I got a record with Fred that was on last year. Fred Hammond. I got that I play guitar, I did different things on. I got records, bro.
Yeah.
But Cassidy Sky with the St. Francis Band was one of the best records, top to bottom, that I've ever played on.
Crazy.
And when I tell you it's some good music and some good writing, incredible. We
Yeah.
recorded it in Nashville. But it's going to be some country.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, country. 12-string steel guitar.
Country.
Not lap, pedal steel. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's going to be country. Live acoustic guitars, mic, not with the line in, but you know what I mean?
Oh, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Authentic.
It's going to be some country on the record. But all the things that I am, I'm multi-layered.
Yeah.
So it'll be a record. It may be two.
Hey, man.
Because, I don't think I may not be able to get it all on one.
Whatever you do, film it.
Oh, bro.
Whatever you do, film it.
Oh, bro.
Just whatever you do, film it.
Oh, bro. It's going to be a movie, bro. Like,
Yeah.
oh, my God. It's going to be crazy. And then I got friends,
Yeah.
that I may have to do like a gospel thing because I've got friends that I would want to be a part of. Like, I have actual friends that are like Tiffany Boone is my friend.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, seriously, Jason and Jonathan Nelson
Yeah.
are my friends. I text them in a group text message every year for their birthday. They twins.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, Patrick Lundy is my friend. I got.
You know what you could do? You know how Jacob Collier did like Jesse Volume 1, 2, 3, 4? You could do that. And it's like the same. It's the same thing, but it's got.
You know what?
So that's a concept.
Thank you, Zach. I appreciate that.
Hey, man.
That may need to be what it is.
Put me on the bottom left corner.
Bro, listen.
Zach.
Listen, bro, because here's the thing, like, because when I do the records, I'm gonna want to play it live too, and because of where I am, it'll be a venue. I'll be able to do a lot of things with it. We'll be able to do St. James. We may be able to do like Ebenezer. Go to church and play.
Hey, man.
Like they do the Jazz Sundays. We just did it with the Georgia Horns. I'm in the band Georgia. You know Georgia Horns? You know about Georgia Horns?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm in the band Georgia Horns.
Yeah.
Chris Crenshaw, Stantoine Kendrick, Kenny Banks, Kevin Smith is playing upright bass.
Got you.
Marcus Printo, trumpet.
Okay, all right.
It was straight ahead jazz situation, and we just did Ebenezer last year, their Jazz Sunday.
Nice.
And it was, my
Yeah.
God, we went there swinging so hard in that church. I
Yeah.
mean, we were swinging.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
you thought it was 10.
That was
thought it was 10 ATL. The way it was. Yeah.
It was swinging just like 10.
Yeah.
Like about 11:30 at 10. It's just
That's how it was.
It was in there.
Yeah.
But I think different venues will open up because it'll be a lot of things.
Yeah.
So yes. And yes. And yes. And yes.
Hey, man, I'm looking forward to it.
It's going to be killing, too.
Couple of questions we ask everybody. I know you're not going to be able to do top three. So you do however many you know, however many you can. So, but we do top three keyboard players that and then like top three keyboard player like legends, whatever. If you want to do organ, you can add organ in there. Do whatever. If you want to switch it up, whatever. But just at least three that are like your homies that is just like, dog, that's my guy. Or girl, whoever. And then three that are like legends that are just, whatever.
So top three that are legends for me, from my experience, would be McCoy Tyner. McCoy is like, Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
He was a thing. Oscar Peterson. Oh my good God. And just because I'm church, Kevin Bond. That's my in that sphere. Now I've left out R&B and I've left out.
You can add it if you want to. If you want to, if you want to name them off, you can.
So it's such a difficult thing. So I'll just go with those three. Those would be my
cool.
Those would be my legends.
All right, cool.
Top three that I know personally, I can put my hands on. I'm going to say Kenny Banks Jr. I'm going to say Marcus Roberts. I'm going to say Bill Peterson from Florida State. I'm going to say Antoine Walker.
Okay.
He's back in Ohio now. Antoine is killing.
Mm-hmm.
You can put him on an R&B stage. You can put him on a church stage. You can put him on a straight ahead. Antoine has language, bro. And it's scary to see a church cat with language. He is a typology of what a Corey Henry is. You know what I'm saying? Antoine Walker is that killing to me.
Yeah.
Corey Henry.
There you go.
I don't know him, but I can put my hands on him.
Yeah.
One or two people away from putting my hands
on
him. Larry Wilson.
Yeah.
Definitely. Larry Wilson. John Lismore. You know what I mean? I'm veering organ keyboard.
Yeah, organs, keys, whatever. Yeah.
Jaden
Arnold. Yeah.
Jaden.
I've never met him, but I am aware of his killingness.
Listen to me. Jaden Arnold is a mood. Jaden Arnold. So when we think of young under 30 organists, you have Jaden Arnold, and you've got people like Josh Orr, but they're on another planet from other people like, me and different other people that I know. Jaden Arnold, Josh Orr, moon, stars, right? That's where they are. I would say, I mentioned Eric Miller already. So many that I can touch because so many people that I love are really, really killing. Corey Irving. Corey Irving plays for Brian McKnight. Corey Irving plays for, I'm looking at her, short haircut. She's from Atlanta. She's up for a Grammy this year. Her husband plays guitar.
Jade Nova?
No. But yeah, that same vein. She's not heavy, singer. She's thick. A singer, short. I'm looking
R&B?
at her. Yeah, R&B, gospel, soul. Oh God, Jameson produced her record.
Avery Sunshine.
She is killing.
I just talked to Evan.
Yep.
Evan Menifee. Like that's my guy. Yeah.
So Corey plays Keyz. He subs on Keyz.
Oh, okay.
With Avery.
Okay.
So yeah, Avery.
Yeah.
Avery too.
She's dope.
Yo, my boy. I don't know if you know him. I'll introduce you to him because you should have him on the podcast. Zach Wilson, killing cat. Really, really, really killing. I introduced you to him.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait a second. What is he talking about? I was like,
I introduced you to him.
Real killing dude. I really got lost for a second. I was like, it went for like half a second. I thought you were addressing me for a second, and then you was like, okay, well, yeah, who?
Yeah, Zach. Killer, light skinned guy, kind of tall, glasses.
Never met him.
Yeah, killing dude. He lives in Marietta, Kennesaw. I introduced you to him. Killing guy. He's originally from Macon. He went. You don't know him, guy. Cool guy, real cool guy.
Sounds like a jerk, bro.
No. He's a real good dude.
Yeah, man.
He's a great dude.
Appreciate you, bro.
Really
appreciate you.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, man.
It's a lot
Thank
of
you,
us.
bro. Thank you for real, man. Thank you, man.
Man, listen, I appreciate you,
man.
It's a lot. It's a lot of killing cats. Probably many more that I can put my hands on.
Yeah,
that I'm appreciative that I've met. Duke.
Yeah, Duke. Yeah, Allen Robinson.
Allen
sure,
Robinson
for sure.
The second. You know what I mean?
The second. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Eric Brown. We call him E2.
Okay.
Eric Brown, is killing keyboardists. I'm back home my way. But it's, what I'm saying? There's so many of them.
Absolutely, bro.
But I'm grateful that a few of them I can, put my hands on. But yeah, those are my top 37.
Yeah, top 12. A couple more questions I'm going to get you out of.
Yeah, let's go, bro.
Worst thing that happened to you on a gig, preferably on Keyz, or the worst gig that you've had on Keyz.
So worst gig experience. This isn't a gig; it's church for me. But the worst experience, nonetheless, on organ. Never gonna forget it.
All right, cool.
So I'm just playing. And my dad is closing in the African American
preaching
tradition. He's hooping.
All right,
he's
cool.
hooping. African American preaching tradition. He's going around third base, and he's in B. And I cannot play in B. So I'm sitting on the organ, and everybody's looking at me, and I'm looking at them, and they're looking at me, look at them, and it's like, what's happening? And I'm like, oh.
So you just ain't giving them anything?
I can't. I just
nothing.
I mean,
it's like because like if you in B flat, you doing everything.
I'm moving,
everything.
right?
But then
and I'm like, go back down or go up, death. instant death. But what I did over the next week is I worked out all the preaching chords that I knew in the key of B, and that never happened to me again.
Yeah.
That has never since then ever happened to me again.
So that's kind of the only bomb.
That was was bomb. It was a horrible bomb. It was like I will never.
How old were you?
I'll 15.
Oh, that's just good learning.
16,
that's just good learning.
Somewhere
I feel
in
like.
there.
I feel like that's not super terrible.
Was,
I feel like that was just like, all right, that was like a small learning experience.
Felt like death.
Yeah.
In the moment. It felt like it was. If it may have been like 2 minutes or a minute and a half. Yeah. And he eventually went to see. But I felt like it was the whole close of the sermon, and the world was looking at, and I was like, it was the absolute worst. Fair.
Now, it's nothing like knowing that you don't really know what's going on and everyone else knows that you don't know what's going on. That's something. Because, I mean, like, it's one thing to be somewhere kind of unprepared, but you can kind of hide, or you can, like, at least ask somebody to help you through it. But if you were out there by yourself and it is obvious that they don't know what they're doing.
And everybody came up to me after church. You know how they do in church culture. It's okay. You'll get it next time. You did a good job.
Gosh.
It was the worst. I could have.
My goodness.
I could have died. You know what I'm saying?
No, for sure.
It was the worst.
No, for sure.
I'm never going to forget that.
Build your own super group. So you've got an unlimited budget, unlimited availability. You do not have to be in the band if you don't want to. A band behind a vocalist. This can be any vocalist. This could be any genre. You can unlimited availability. They just have to be alive. That means you can get D'Angelo and Sade if you wanted to, who stay in the house wherever they live, and you give me the musicians who are playing behind them. You can start vocalist first and build the band, or you can build the band first and then do the vocalist. Anybody you want to.
So it was my dream to be the drummer for Janet Jackson. That was always my dream.
Hey, call J-Rod. He'll tell you about it. Hey, how's my dream going?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, and when he got the gig, bro, I couldn't have been more excited. When Lil Mike had the gig, I couldn't have been more excited. But that was always my dream. Mm-hmm. When I met Little John for the first time coming to Atlanta, I like almost, had a connection because I watched him, live in Hawaii, the Velvet Rope tour with that purple pearl kit. I set my drum set up at church just like he played.
Wow.
So that was always my dream. So I'm going to say Janet Jackson. And I'm going to be on drums because it's my dream. It's my dream. Doggone it. I'm going to be on drums.
Lil Jon and J-Rod's going to be on the side waiting for you.
Yeah, they're going to be on the side. They were like, hey, you didn't play that right. You didn't do this. That's fine. This is my dream. This is my podcast portion, so I'm going to have my dream.
Yeah.
I am going to put Frank Brunot on bass.
Okay.
I'm going to put Larry Wilson as the musical director.
He's on keys?
He's on keys.
All right.
I'm going to let Larry Wilson put the session together too, the stems and the production, but I'm going to let my son be the programmer. My son would be the Pro Tools.
He's on that? He's on that wave?
Ableton, bro, it's his thing, and he's a killer.
Oh,
so
wow.
my son will run playback on the Janet Jackson gig, just because he's my son and he would do such a good job.
Man.
I want Julian Roberts and Jordan Love on guitar. Two guitars.
Okay.
So both sides of the stage.
Uh-huh.
For the secondary board player, I'm going to do Brian King. B Keyz.
Oh, okay.
B-Keyz.
Yeah.
I'm going to put him on aux. Just because he's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's a
good band.
That's my band.
That's a good band.
And it's Janet. And everything will be in the box. Everything will be programmed, so it'll be.
Yeah.
So we talk about studio musicians that help do the programming. I'm gonna say, because you got to have those too.
If you want to.
I'm gonna say in the studio that help do the programming and put together the show. I'm going to go. Who am I gonna go? Who do I want to help program the show? I'm gonna say C-Dub. I'm gonna say Jelani Jackson for sure. And I'm going to say Sean Alexander, Sensei.
Okay.
Those are going to be the three programming the show with Larry, because he's going to be the MD. I'm just playing drums on that gig. I'm just coming to play the drums. That's all I want to do. And I want to be Lil Jon. I'll be a reincarnation of Lil Jon.
For sure.
And I am going to go off.
Yeah.
So that's my band. That's my artist.
That's cool, bro. I'll take it. That's a good one.
Man, listen, it was interesting. But those are mine.
Yeah.
Now, if I was building a church band,
Who you got? Go ahead.
Listen,
Go ahead.
If I'm building a church band, and we're talking about in church, and we play
unlimited budget, man.
We unlimited budget, and we can play for anybody. I'm gonna say in a service, and they're coming to the church. I don't care who the artist is. Put anybody up. This is who my band's gonna be. I'm gonna put my son again on playback. I'm gonna put CJ on drums. CJ, not Brown, but CJ. What's CJ's last name?
Alexander. Am I thinking about the right person?
That's gonna bother me now because I gotta get it right. We call him CJ. His name is CJ. CJ Watkins.
Okay.
I'm gonna put CJ on drums. I'm gonna put Matt. I'm gonna put Matt Simmons on main keys, and I'm gonna put Jaden on organ again. And then I'm gonna put Jew on guitar. Essentially, it would be the band that I've had the pleasure of playing with for the Spirit and Truth Church at the 4 p.m. service when I was doing that. It was probably the best church band that I've ever been able to be a part of. And the creativity in that group of musicians was unlimited.
Really?
Google, get on YouTube, go to Spirit and Truth, look at the 4 p.m. service.
Yeah, and just
the past
one.
3 years, 2-3 years.
Dope, bro.
Infinite creativity. Infinite. Just with Antoine Cooks on the microphone, we go from church to trap. From worship to hood. I mean, it's just all in one praise and worship set, and the creativity was unlimited. That was one of the best musical creative musical periods that the last 2-3 years that I've had in my life, and it was right there in church, just in church.
Got you. Last thing you want to leave with the people. You've been dropping gems all episode, but like last thing you want to leave with the people.
If I wanted to leave anything with the people, this is what I would leave. This is what I want to leave. There is nothing that you cannot do when you put God first and you put your mind to it. There's nothing and no door that wouldn't open for you when you put God first and you put your mind to it. Many people, they don't realize the power and the ability that God gave us in ourselves, our own agency. Zach, there's nothing that you can't do if you don't, when you put your mind to it. There's no door that'll be closed in your face. There's no opportunity. And any of you all, any of us, nothing can stop you when you put God first and put your ability in its fullness behind it. I think we have either or. Some of us will put God first, but lacks our ability. Or we'll put our ability fully behind it, but we don't have God in the equation. But the two, not either or, but and. When you have both of them, there's nothing that can stop you. Absolutely nothing. And I think the more we as keyboard players, musicians, psalmists, when we do that, we open up veins and avenues of potential that's untapped. Right? So yeah, my admonition would be do that more. So that you can get to your dreams faster, because you don't know whose dream you're holding up by not fulfilling yours.
It's good.
Amen.
Good. That'll preach. It is Wednesday.
It is Wednesday.
You can go ahead and take that somewhere tonight if you want to.
Listen, we can make it shake. We really can. Yeah. I'm always ready.
Let me go grab the Nord real quick, and we
listen. That's the say list, Doc. That is the say list.
Get it poppin'. Man, socials where the people can find you, bro.
So BMAC Music. Everywhere. You can find me.
Spell that out for people that are listening.
BMAC Music. BMAC MUSIK. BMAC MUSIK. BMAC Music, and it's everywhere. It is on Instagram. It is on Facebook. It's on Threads. It's on Twitter. Believe it or not, it's on TikTok. It's on YouTube. BMAC Music everywhere. If not, you can look up Brandon McCrae, BrandonMcCrae. You can find me on everywhere as well. You can also go to my website, Brandon McCrae, BrandonMcCrae.com. There you'll find all the social media handles. You'll find clips of me teaching and preaching. Actually, my website is set up to where there are two sides of me. You can go to the music side of the website or the ministry side of the website, and either one will take you to wherever it is you want to go.
For sure.
So yeah, that's where I am. Come holler at your boy.
Yes, sir. Appreciate y'all tuning into another episode of the Major Keyz podcast. Today we have Mr. Dr. Brandon McCrae. Thank y'all for tuning in. We'll see y'all next time. Keep pressing on. Y'all have a good one.